Today I'm going to introduce you to polynomials. So what are polynomials? Polynomials are expressions that have terms consisting of variables, which means your x, y, your letter terms, or constants, those are your numbers that are either added, subtracted, or multiplied from each other. The exponents of the variable must always be positive whole numbers, because a negative exponent implies that the variables will involve in division. Again, remember that polynomials are expressions that only consist of terms that have been added, subtracted, or multiplied, not divided. So this would be an example of a polynomial. As you can see, you have exponents that are positive. Note that there is also a positive exponent here because x, when written as x, is actually x to the power of 1. Here we actually also have an x, but it is the power of 0, which we don't write because anything to the power of 0 is 1 except 0 to the power of 0. Conversely, if I wrote this expression, you can see that there's a negative exponent here. So this is not a polynomial. Also, if I were to have 3x squared plus 5x to the power of half, again, not a polynomial because your exponent is a fraction and not a whole number. Also note that if I wrote it as 3x squared plus 5 square root of x, which is the same as x to the power of half, again, not a polynomial. Note though that if I have an expression like this is a polynomial. As you can see, the exponents are all positive whole numbers, even though I have a fraction here and here. It doesn't matter if we have coefficients as fractions. What we're concerned with is that the exponents are whole positive numbers. Coefficients in an expression are these bigger numbers that are attached to your variables. Now let's go over some terms that you'll see in polynomials. A monomial is one term, and examples of monomials could be, say, 3x squared or 1 over 2x to the fifth, or even x, y, z. Those are all monomials. A binomial has two terms. Think of things like bicycle, bifocals. Bi means two. Okay, so examples of a binomial would be x squared plus 5. Again, see, two terms, or xy plus z, or 2x plus 2. All two terms in the expression. What about trinomial? Remember, tri is 3, triangle, 3 sides, tricycle, 3 wheels, trinomials, 3 terms. Examples would be x plus y plus z, 3 terms, 2x squared plus x plus 1, again 3 terms, or I don't know, we can do, say, half x cubed plus 2x minus 3 over 2. 3 terms in each one. Next, we're going to talk about standard form. Standard form is usually denoted by the terms ax squared plus bx plus c. However, in an example where you have more terms in your expression, your standard form is where you arrange your variables in the order of descending order. So if I were to have 8x to the power of 3 minus 5x to the power of 5 plus x to the power of 8 plus 1, this is not written in standard form. I have to write my variables with the exponents in descending order. So in standard form, that would be 2x to the power of 8, and then we get that 5x to the power of 5 plus 8x cubed plus 1. Now we have our exponents in descending order, means the numbers are going smaller and smaller, and this would be my standard form. Now there are a few other terms you need to know. These, the big numbers, 2, negative 5, 8, the big numbers that are attached to your variables, which is the letters, those are called coefficients. So our 2, negative 5, and 8 are coefficients. This, the number without any variable or letters attached to it, is called the constant. It never changes. 1 is always 1, 2 is always 2, 3 is always 3, and so on and so forth. And we also have a term called the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the coefficient that is the big number here that is attached to the variable with the highest power in your polynomial. So in this case, your leading coefficient is 2. The degree of the polynomial is the number or the exponent that is the biggest exponent. So in this case, your degree is 8 because this is the highest exponent in this expression. So let's try some examples. If we're given this polynomial, what is our standard form? Remember, we want the exponents to go in descending order. So our standard form would be, we're going to take our x to the power 4 first. So we have 5x to the 4 plus, now we have x cubed plus x squared minus 1. That's our standard form. What's our leading coefficient? The leading coefficient is the big number attached to the variable with the highest exponent, and in this case it's -5. Not just 5, but -5. And your degree is 4. Now let's try another question, this time with fractions. Again, never ever freeze when you see fractions. The method is always the same. Let's look for our variable with the highest exponent, which is that little number. And in this case, that's 4. So I'm going to write that first. So I get 2x to the 4th. And then what's our next smallest number? That's x squared. So that'll be 1/3 x squared. And then that goes down to 3/5 x. And it's at 1/8 at the end. What's our leading coefficient? That would be the big number next to the variable, which is our letter, that has the highest exponent, which is that little power there, or the little number on top. So the leading coefficient is -2. What's your degree? The degree is the highest exponent, which is 4. And what's your constant? Your constant is the number that doesn't have those little letters or variables, and that is -1/8. What if we have something a little different? What if we have 2 variables, that is 2 letters in your polynomial? Okay, let's break it down. Let's write down what we know first, which is the constant, right? So that's 3. What's your highest degree? To figure out the highest degree, we're going to add the exponents in each term together. So in this case, that's 2 plus 2, which is 4. And here we have 1 plus 1, which is 2. So your highest degree is actually 4. And there's also an unwritten 1 here and here as well. So your leading coefficient is 1. And I would write the standard form as x squared y squared plus xy plus 3. What about this one? What is the standard form, leading coefficient, degree, and constant? This is a trick question because if you notice, I have an exponent which is a negative number. So this is not a polynomial, and therefore it is not applicable. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, comments, or like to see any specific topic, please leave a comment down below. I offer tutoring services as well as sell notes, lessons, and worksheets with full answer keys online. Links below. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you found this lesson helpful.